Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Aso Tarot, and in today's Pick a Blood Cell reading, we are going to be looking at what you don't see about yourself. Now, I did this reading back in like December or November, and I found it to be really enjoyable, and I really love that reading, so I wanted to do it again. Now, you might be asking, why blood cells? And the honest answer is that Drunk Madison really likes to online shop for Sober Madison. So sometimes I get surprises in the mail. And you know what? I figured they would be good for a pick card reading. I just didn't understand how I would use them. But I kind of realized, I was like, oh, you know, we have all of this stuff in our body and we can't see it. So I was like, that's actually fitting because, yeah. We're looking at things you can't see about yourself, and these are things in you that you can't see. And plus, you're learning something. So, we have 4 piles to choose from and 4 different blood cells to choose from. So the first pile, we have Miss Penny / Patricia. She got both names because I couldn't decide. And she is a plasma cell, and she is sitting on top of the This Might Hurt Tarot. And then pile 2, we have Sir Walter. He is a white blood cell, and he is sitting on top of the This Might Hurt Tarot. Pile 3, we have Mr. Antonio. He is an Antibody, and he is sitting on top of the Black Line Tarot. And finally, we have pile 4, and this is Mr. Raoul, and he is a red blood cell. I almost forgot, so sorry, Raoul. He is sitting on top of the Gothmancy Tarot. So if you have problems with the names, get your own damn stuffed blood cells and name them yourself. Other than that, once you have picked your pile, or if you want to pick more than one pile, that's absolutely okay. You can go ahead and scroll down to the description box or the comment section where I will have all the timestamps listed for each pile below. If you are having trouble picking based on the blood cell, then I would pick based on the card deck you feel most drawn to, but like I said, absolutely okay to pick more than one. Just do what feels right to you and take what resonates. Don't let the rest take from you. And once you have picked your pile, we will go ahead and get into your reading. Hi there, pile 1. If you guys chose Miss Penny Patricia Plasma, this is going to be your reading. I think I'm gonna push her. No, Mr. Moldavite gets. Okay, we'll put him here. So she's gonna chill right here. So a fun fact about plasma before we start is that it plays a critical role in carrying waste products to the kidneys, liver, and lungs where they can be removed from the body. And it helps maintain normal blood pressure and helps regulate your body's temperature. So pile 1, y'all might be used to carrying some crap, if you know what I mean. But before we get into the tarot and look more in depth into what you don't see about yourself, I first want to get a feel for your energy so that you know I'm not just like blowing smoke up your butt, and you know that this reading is meant for you. So most of this stuff you should be able to recognize as your energy. Some of it might be new to you, but overall this should be your energy. So to start, we have the Mirror, Child of the Cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you, adjacent possibilities. We also have recovery and expansion. We have the owl and the vulture. We have the sloth. Oh, did I do that upside down? Oh my gosh. I was looking at sloth, I messed it up. And the owl again. And finally, we have Be Free, Do What You Love, and the All-Knower. Okay, so pile 1. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely fitting in terms of like you've probably carried a lot of crap that you didn't deserve to carry in your life. I'm also, you don't have to be, but I am picking up the vibe like there could be some middle children in this pile. Shout out to all my middle children out there. I am one as well. It ain't easy. Some of y'all might be night owls. We have tons of owl imagery here. And the goddess Lakshmi, Lakshmi, is kind of coming through here. So if she is important to you, she is here, or being represented in this pile as an important deity. But I definitely get the vibe from this pile that your life and your perception of yourself has been a very difficult thing for you to understand. You could be an air sign, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, or have those placements in your chart, because we do have two air sign animals here, but you certainly don't have to be. You could just be primarily a very mental person, in the sense that you are kind of always in your head. But the fact that you're being represented as the archetype of the mirror really goes to show that I think a lot of your life journey has been about you kind of figuring out who you are. And it's been really difficult for you to do that, because I think that you are kind of a natural mirror for the people around you in your environment. So you could be like an empath or a highly sensitive person. You could just be sensitive to the emotions of others. I even heard Hoyoka empath for some of you. And it's almost like your energy field, and like, how do I explain this? So I feel like you're trying to figure out who your true self actually is. And you've actually have been doing an excellent job of getting there. You have a lot more awareness of your true self than you once did. And I think one thing that's already coming through that your guides really want you to understand is that it's kind of through others and your experiences that you start to understand yourself. And I think one thing, if you've noticed that the people around you have started to improve, or newer people are coming into your life with better vibes, like, kind of, you reflect, like, your environment kind of reflects the state that you're in. And I think that you've been getting to a point of realizing that you are in a much better place than you once were. What I really love about this pile is that you do have such a higher vision. And there's a lot of really brilliant ideas constantly flowing through you. I think where you struggle is figuring out how to communicate those ideas, or get people to understand your perspective. And maybe you do a great job at communicating this, but the people that you're trying to get to understand these sorts of things, they just don't have the same level of awareness you do, so you always come off misunderstood. But one thing that I'm definitely seeing here is that if you haven't realized yet, it's very important for you to protect your energy, because you are very easily susceptible to whatever is around you. But the beautiful thing is that it seems like you've been doing a lot of healing, and you're coming out of a huge like cycle where you're starting to realize that you have to live life for yourself. I feel like you felt a lot of injustice, especially growing up. I feel like the people around you did not understand you. And what made it worse is that you didn't really understand yourself either. So you couldn't even really communicate like who you were or what you wanted to be, because you didn't even know what that was. With the sensitive sloth, I definitely think that you do have a very keen eye, and like, you're probably very detail oriented and have like a very like acute awareness of just like how energy might change. You might be I get kind of Libra vibes, where you might have like a really good eye for like style, or for graphic design is one thing that I'm hearing, or just like color palettes. There's heavy clairvoyance energies in here as well. And I feel like you're definitely one of those people who just always felt like they didn't fit in. And you've probably worked really hard to try and do that. And I think that part of this cycle that you're coming out of is realizing that forcing yourself to fit in was doing more harm to you than it was good. You can see things that other people can't and sense the subtle energies that most people can't. So this is essentially like you have a gift. You have a gift for reading energy. And in fact, one thing that Spirit is already highlighting to me is that the more you discover about yourself, the more the world will make sense to you. Because instead of trying to figure out how the world works through the lens of others, you've done that for a while. And I think you're starting to see how that doesn't really serve you. And instead, you're starting to realize that there's a lot more value in listening to what yourself is saying and what your soul is trying to tell you. You could definitely be a starseed or just a very old soul. With the child of the cosmos here, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. I think that there is a lot of untapped information still within you that you can access through dreams, through meditations, past life regressions. But I think if you haven't done a lot of that yet, it's kind of because you need to be in more of a healed place to access those sorts of things. Because one thing that I'm hearing from Spirit is that a lot of the issues that you've had since you were a young child, like, I don't want to say issues, maybe like phobias or things that you were like really have always really loved, could be connected to past life things. And some of the reasons behind those past life things might be potentially very triggering or traumatic to relive or discover. And so it's kind of important for you to be in a much healthier and healed place in order to face those sorts of things. Of course, you never have to. Only if you want to, but I do think that there's a vast amount of wisdom within you and that your soul already carries that it's just waiting to be tapped into. And one thing that I'm really excited about for you is that I think you're starting to realize how much potential you truly have and how many different paths in life that there are open to you. I don't know if I said that in a very good way, but whatever. With this adjacent possibilities card plus expansion and be free, do what you love, I think you're starting to realize that you were never really meant to live a normal life or quote unquote normal. And there's no point in trying to, you're like a square peg trying to be fit into a round hole. Like, it's just not gonna work. And instead of trying to force yourself to fit into something that's going to be unsatisfying, I think you're realizing now that there's so much more value in following what makes you happy anyway. And Spirit is really confirming that to me, that this is where you are always meant to be led. And that the reason why a lot of negative experiences have come your way and a lot of difficult, like, I guess experiences, but difficult situations and relationships that you've dealt with, they've all been to bring you to a higher level of awareness, to help you understand more about yourself. Like with this vulture card here, it's almost like you've needed to learn that just because other people might have different experiences and might have different knowledge or skill sets than you, like, doesn't mean that their perception is better than yours. I feel like you've always seen your perception as less valid only because it's yours. And you've really been doing yourself a disservice there, because there is just a wealth of information and wisdom within you. And I think that one really cool thing is that you've been seeing a lot of your potentially triggering and traumatic experiences from your past, and especially in your childhood, from a higher perspective. And that has helped you healed from it. Helped you start healing from it. That has helped you understand maybe the grander lessons behind it. I don't want to say that there's like lessons behind like really traumatic things, but I do want to say that like it doesn't define you, and that you can be that you are so much more than your experiences. And I think what you're also realizing is that you get to define yourself. Your actions don't define you. Your past doesn't define you. You get to define you. And I think that the universe has handed you like a key recently, like a key of knowledge, and it is really helping you be open to this information. So maybe you've started your own spiritual practices, maybe you're reading cards, maybe you're divinating in some way, or just like meditating or doing something where you're starting to embrace your own spiritual nature. Journaling is another thing. But essentially, you can expect for your psychic abilities to open more and more, and your awareness of the world and perception of the world to continue to change, because you are kind of growing into who you're truly meant to be. And one thing that's really cool here is that we have 24 and 42 mirrored here. And Spirit is really saying that there are so many options open and available to you. And really, none of them are right or wrong. It's all about doing what makes you happy. And I'm thinking dolphins could also be a significant animal for you. Because I'm thinking of a card in a different deck that says happiness means that I'm on the right path. And I think that you're starting to realize that, yeah, you know more about your life than anyone else, and valuing others' opinions over your own is really not going to help you in the grand scheme of things. And it's okay if people doubt you. It's okay if people don't believe in you, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Just because people don't see your potential, that doesn't mean that that's any bearing on your worth. It just means that they don't see you as clearly as you see yourself, and that's kind of gonna be like a big truth in life. Like a lot of things are just going to happen that way. But yeah, expect you might have a lot of intense dreams here soon. I think there's going to be a lot of inner child healing for you in the next couple of months, and you've probably already experienced some as of late. But I think that you're going to be a lot more comfortable in your truth. We have the throat chakra and the third eye chakra really highlighted here. So I think that's a really positive sign that you're definitely evolving and elevating. And you're starting to understand that the way people treat you isn't a personal attack. It's more so a reflection of them and what they think of themselves. And also that the more you work on yourself and the more you prioritize yourself, set boundaries with others, focus on your own inner peace and what makes you happy, that the world kind of mirrors that and brings in people that are good for you and removes people, situations, experiences that aren't. And those might come in ways that are very upsetting or hard to understand, but once you get through the initial pain or the initial like shock of it, you start to understand from a higher perspective why that had to happen. So this is overall really cool. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the tarot now and see what Spirit wants you to know, what you don't see about yourself. And when we finish with the tarot, we will move into advice, and then we will take it into the extended, where we will look at blessings to come from this, and blessings to come from like embracing these truths about yourself, seeing these things, and just further advice in what you need to know. So like I said, this is the This Might Hurt Tarot. I got it off of Etsy, and I really like it so far. I used it on my Instagram for an inner child reading I did, so if you want to check that out, definitely do so. I'm at Real Aso Tarot. Okay, I'm gonna guess that guy wants to come out, so we're gonna take him. So what do you don't see about yourself? Oh, so to start, we have strength. That's beautiful. Spirit, what else does pile one not see about themselves? We have the Five of Cups. What else does pile one not see about themselves? Okay, the Six of Pentacles. We also have Death. and the 9 of Cups. Okay, can we clarify all these, Spirit? Strength. Okay, we have the 7 of Swords. Clarifying the 5 of Cups, we have the Sun. Clarifying the 6 of Pentacles, please, Spirit. We have the Lovers. Clarifying the Death card. We have the 3 of Cups. And clarifying the 9 of Cups. We have 2 cards. Okay, we have the 3 of Swords and the 6 of Swords. Okay. And on the back of the deck, we have the 9 of Wands. Okay. So, yeah, this is definitely kind of highlighting what you've been going through. This is kind of a larger cycle that Spirit is highlighting, but it's all meant for you to see your own worth. Sometimes you have to be treated like shit in order to realize that you don't deserve that. The signs that I see right off the bat, we have Leo twice with Strength and the Sun. We also have Scorpio with the Death card and Gemini with the Lovers. And I see Libra with the 6 of Pentacles. But yeah, with this 7 of Swords, there have definitely been people that have done you dirty. There have definitely been situations that have happened in your life where you're just like, why? Like, what did I do to deserve this? And one thing that you don't see, that you haven't seen, is that you never deserved it in the first place. It's more so that, one, it's important for you to understand that you don't always have to give like compassion to people that do you dirty. You don't have to give people explanations for why you may feel uncomfortable around them, or for why you don't talk to them, or why you don't want them in your life. But also, this is highlighting something deeper, that you bounce back twice as hard as you get knocked down. And what's really beautiful about this is that I think that for a lot of you, there was definitely a tendency in the past to maybe also embody this 7 of Swords energy towards others. It's like, well, I'm going to get them before they get me. And that could have been like just a response to being hurt in this sort of way. But with this Strength card here, it's going to show that your higher perspective is kind of calming your shadow side. The side of yourself, well, I don't even want to say your shadow side, but I just want to say like the side of yourself that lashes out when it feels hurt, that maybe goes on the attack when you feel afraid. You know, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, same with Aries, so those placements could be significant. But what I'm seeing with the 5 of Cups here is that you've also, I think if you haven't seen this, you're starting to see it now, or Spirit wants you to see this, which is that your perception and seeing the glass either half empty or half full really does matter. And I think that one thing Spirit wanted you to realize is that, or if you haven't realized this yet, that it is important to practice gratitude for the things that you do have. You know, this 5 of Cups figure is definitely crying over spilled milk and not really looking at the blessings behind them. And now, yeah, there are 3 cups spilled, whereas there's only 2 cups upright. But by focusing on the 2 cups that are upright, that does bring a lot more happiness than focusing on the ones that are spilled. And with this Sun card being clarified by it, I do think that in your childhood, you naturally wanted to embody, you naturally probably had a more joyful attitude or a more optimistic attitude. And I think that was kind of beaten down by your surroundings and by any negative experiences that you had. I feel like almost, you know, the people that would be around you had a very, oh, woe is me, like everything is horrible. and like a very negative attitude. I'm kind of picking up from like your friend group or maybe even people in your family. And I think you just naturally adopted that. And that's not meant to like shame you or anything like that. But I think that one thing that Spirit is saying is that you do deserve to feel like unbridled joy, and that you do deserve to be happy, and that happiness isn't a, well, one, happiness is something that's pretty much always fleeting. And happiness is also something that at times you have to choose. And now I'm not minimizing anything. Like if you're dealing with like depression or anything like that, that's a completely different story. And obviously in that case, like please like get help, because I've been in that situation. I completely understand what that's like. And it's not as simple as just like switching your thoughts or anything like that. It takes real work. But with this Five of Cups here, I think Spirit is also highlighting that what you also don't see about your minor disappointments is that they bring such happy conclusions when that energy is finally cleared out. And one thing that I think you're not realizing is how generous you are. And maybe you're aware of how generous you are, but I feel like this generosity comes from a place of like, I need to be generous so that I feel like I'm valued, so that I feel like I'm worthy. And with this Lovers card clarifying it, I think that Spirit is trying to get you to realize that you deserve people that are going to choose you just as hard as you choose them. And that you deserve the same abundance, and whether that abundance is money, whether that abundance is love, compassion, friendship, you deserve the same abundance that you give out. And this is a good example where that Mirror card comes back into play, because when you're being kind to yourself, when you're being generous to yourself, Spirit can then bring in people that will choose you as well, and that you deserve. And there's an important understanding here that you need to know that you do deserve people that are going to match your energy. You shouldn't have to fight or overcompensate to keep people in your life. If you have to do that, then they're not worth keeping in your life in the first place. And in fact, you know, these changes that you've been going through that have been really difficult, I think you're starting to realize the beauty in it. You know, the sun is coming out. And I love this Three of Cups card, because I think that this goes to show that the people who have stuck by your side, the people that celebrate your successes, the people that don't tear you down, the people that embrace you for who you are, those are your true friends. And those are the ones that are going to be there with you through everything. Like, I almost want to cry, because I do feel like you probably have a couple of really great people in your life who have stuck with you through thick and thin. And those are the people that Spirit wants you to like stay with. Those are the awesome people. And I think Spirit also wants you to understand is that they love you so much, and like, don't feel like you have to pretend like everything is okay all the time. They want to cry with you just as much as they want to celebrate with you, and you vice versa. And if you don't have those people in your life, just know that they're coming, and that you are going to know when they're there, because you're just going to have like so much love that you did not realize that you had beforehand. And with this Death card, you know, these changes might have been difficult in the beginning, but the blessings that come from them are going to make you so grateful that you had your world shaken up. And with this Nine of Cups here, I think you're starting to realize that your own dreams and passions are important and are valid. And now that you're kind of switching your focus, if you haven't already, what you don't see is that by focusing on what makes you happy, that's not selfish at all. In fact, that's what you should be doing, because I feel like you've had a lot of takers in your life and people that didn't necessarily want to give to you. They just, you know, I feel like you had people in your life that were like, what can you do for me? And you felt like you had to work for your place at the table instead of just being openly invited. You know, these people, they're going to embrace you. They're going to openly invite you. They're going to want your presence there the same way you'll want to be there. And the people that you feel like you just have to give handouts to, those are not your true homies. I'm just gonna be real. They're not good homies. And I think that this Lovers card speaks to something a lot deeper, because the Lovers often talks about a choice, and I don't think that this is necessarily specifically a romantic relationship. I just think that this is, you know, divinely guided connections, whether they be platonic friendships or romantic ones, that, you know, Spirit is really looking out for you in the sense that they want to bring you the people in your life that are going to choose you, that are going to embrace you the same way you embrace them, that are going to love you for who you are, the same way you love them for who they are. You know, you want people in your life that are not going to just look at you from a surface level perception, because you don't look at people that way. You like to look at people for who they are deep down. And I think what you don't understand is that, or what you don't see is that you judge yourself from very surface level perceptions, but you have such a big, beautiful heart. And it's so unfair to do yourself dirty like that and act like your soul or your inner self doesn't matter because you may not be happy with your outer perception or your body or your looks or how much you may have. And it's like, if you wouldn't judge other people for that, why are you judging yourself for that? You're doing yourself such a disservice, because you have such a beautiful soul. And that's what really matters. And the people that truly care about you and want the best for you, they are gonna be there for you in that way. And there's a lot of divine numbers in here. We have a lot of 3s and 6s and 9s. And I think that's really beautiful, because it's almost kind of like these lessons are just building upon one another. And you had a lot of numbers reducing to 6, which is the number of unconditional love. And I think that at the end of the day, Spirit is your angels especially, and also your ancestors. You have a very strong ancestral energy around you, and they will not, they do not have patience for people messing with you, screwing you over, talking shit behind your back. Just trust that those people will get their karma. And your ancestors, they've got you, and they want to give you the best people in your life. They want you to live your life with joy. And another thing that I'm seeing here is that a lot of the tough times are over. And this makes me think of a story, and I can't remember what the story is called, because I'm going way back to high school English class, where we had to, I don't know if it was a poem. It was definitely a story, but I don't know if it was an epic poem or it was a novel, but it was about sailors, or a sailor that killed an albatross and wore the albatross around their neck, his neck, I think. And after that, they really suffered at sea for a really long time. And I wish I could remember what it's called. Somebody who does know what it's called, definitely comment that down below, because there's a lot of sea imagery here. And it's I feel like you've dealt with a lot of stormy seas. I feel like you've dealt with just a lot of disappointments. And I think you're moving forward from that. And what I love is that there's a snake behind this little sailor here. And it's you're moving away from the snakes, but at the same time, snakes are about transformation and about shedding old skin. And so I think it's important to remember that you're not the same person that you once were, and that you are continuously evolving. And I think that right now you're kind of being molded into the truest version of yourself. And I think one thing Spirit wants you to see is that you're a work in progress. You're not done yet. And truthfully, you'll never be done, until real death comes. And by that point, you'll have so much awareness. You'll be just so grateful that you are who you are, and that you have the experiences that you do. But with this 9 of Wands in reverse, not in reverse, underneath it. Yeah, there we go. That 4 of Pentacles underneath there. There's going to be a lot of people in your life. I'm hearing choose your battles, because I think that there may be people in your life, or that were in your life, that you feel like maybe you haven't gotten closure over, or you want to be able to at least reach an understanding with them. And I feel like what Spirit is saying is that you don't have to understand them, and honestly, trying to understand them may be a waste of your time. And with this 9 of Wands here, I feel like Spirit is also saying Please take a break when you're burnt out. Please take a break when you're stressed out. It's okay to rest, and you really need that. And also trust that like your guides are not going to let you like suffer to the point of like they want to give you blessings, and they can't give you blessings if you're so burnt out that you can't do anything. So don't feel like you need to like just keep working and just keep going if that's not helping. But it might be helpful for some of you to write letters to people who maybe have wronged you. Don't send them, but like you can just write your true feelings, get it all out there, be as like aggressive and bitchy as you want, and then, you know, just tear them up. Or if you're a creative person and you're struggling to find inspiration right now, I think this also talks about how rest can be really important, and that actually by just embracing, you know, make some time for the people that you care about. Go out and do some fun things, and you'll find that by giving yourself a break, inspiration comes to you a lot more quickly. But yeah, with this Nine of Wands, Spirit doesn't want you to lose hope or feel like frustrated, like I heard like lost your mojo or something. You haven't lost anything. I think that you've just been going through a really difficult transition, a really difficult process, and this takes time, this takes energy, and you're not always gonna be at like 100%. Like, you know, even though we have this belief that we always have to be operating on this like 9 to 5 like system, and especially if you're creative, it just doesn't work that way. And I feel like your guides are trying to tell you to trust that they will make sure that like your needs are met, that you have enough food, like you have enough money to like pay the bills and stuff like that, and that they want you to grow, and they don't want you to stress about this too much. I know it's easier said than done, but just know that there's a lot of spiritual energy around you protecting you, and that there are better days coming, and that your life is not meant to be about suffering. Your life, what you don't see is that the suffering you've experienced has been to show you that you deserve so much better than what you've been dealt. And unfortunately, a lot of us deal with that. But the truth of the matter is that if you prioritize yourself, if you set boundaries, and you have the capabilities of protecting yourself and seeing your worth, then nobody can touch you. Anybody that messes with you, like they can't touch you. But also you need to know that you have so much protection around you anyway. So even when you feel like you're alone, like trust me, you've got strong ancestors around you that like are very, very protective over you. So let's go ahead and see kind of what you need to forgive yourself for. So Spirit, what does pile 1, what do they need to forgive themselves for? I forgive myself for mistaking the awareness of not knowing as weakness. I choose to believe that it is through loving acknowledgement of what I do not yet know that the deepest understanding can be found and integrated. Sorry if I read that weird. Sometimes the sentences are like really long. What else does pile 1 need to forgive themselves for, Spirit? What else? I forgive myself for avoiding people and situations that may make me uncomfortable. I choose to believe that each time I give myself permission to change my mind and commit to a new way of showing up in the world, I allow myself to be moved to where the possibility of deeper comfort exists. We also have, I forgive myself for creating confusion by adjusting my vision to reflect what others want to experience through me. This is so relevant to you. I choose to believe that when I make my vision my own, I invite others to clarify their desire to seek its fulfillment independently. Exactly it. Like what Spirit wants you to understand is that like it is not your job to dim your light to make others more comfortable. Like if your light makes others uncomfortable, then you have to understand that that is on them, and that your light sheds light on truths that they're not comfortable enough to face yet. And that's not your problem, and that's not something you have to fix. And on the back of the deck, I forgive myself for feeling as though there exists a person that could replace me. I choose to believe that I have a gift that no one else is capable of sharing the way that comes naturally to me, and when I embrace my passion, I own my place in the world. Yes, there's only one of you. And I know this is a general reading, and so you might be like, well, there's other people like this. But think about it this way, because yes, in a lot of ways, humans are similar and we all borrow ideas from each other. We're not that unique. But remember that you are the only person that has experienced everything in your life in the exact way, in the exact time, in the exact moment from your level of perception. You are the only person. Nobody else has lived your life. And that might seem hard to believe, but it's true. I mean, like, even as simple as, like, you know, just looking at a fruit bowl, passing by a fruit bowl each day, and your perceptions about that fruit bowl, they change. And like, not everybody has seen that fruit bowl. Even if everyone in your family sees that fruit bowl, they still don't perceive it the same way you do, you know? It's literally like, everybody is unique, and you are unique as well, and your vision matters. And just because people have told you that in the past, you need to see that you are worth so much more, and your guides just want you to know how loved you are and how you deserve to give yourself that love. So pile 1, I'm going to take this over to the extended, where we are going to see the blessings to come from embracing this new start, from embracing yourself. And I'm just going to channel your guides and see what they want you to know, especially if you're kind of stressed about your path right now. But if you are leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. And thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. So I just want to say thank you for that. If you're interested in checking out my merch, that will be down below. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you left a like. If you haven't already, I would love it if you subscribed and click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Definitely comment down below. Let me know how it resonates and give support to some other pile 1s. But oh yeah, and if you want to follow my new Instagram, I also changed my Twitter handle. They are at RealEsoTarot, RealeSoTarot. So I think that's going to be all for me. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 2. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose Sir Walter, the white blood cell, give you little tea on white blood cells before we get into it. So Sir Walter, as you know, he's a white blood cell, and white blood cells are our body's white knights. So if an enemy germ invades you, they ride to the rescue and fight to the death. And I'm reading it, by the way. I don't have this knowledge off the top of my head, but yep, if this is your little blood cell you chose, this is going to be your reading. So before we get into the tarot and really look at what you're not seeing about yourself, we are going to look at your energy first. I just want to get a feel for who you are and what's going on. Some of these things you may not be able to see yet, but the energy should like resonate for you to where you're like, oh, yep, this is me and this is what I'm going through. So to start, okay, I'm so hyped that this came out because I can vindicate myself. So this card is Agape. Shout out to my Greek homies who corrected me. Yeah, not agape, like I said in the last reading, because this came out in the last reading and I pronounced it wrong. So it is Agape. But we also have baby steps, action, follow your intuition before it makes sense. We have attachment in reverse. We have forgiveness, upright, and self-worth. I guess I'm gonna put that there. Then we also have the swan and the shark. We have protect your heart and volcano. We also have the elegant eagle, clarity, inspiration, insight. Sacred, ancient and sacred beast of the skies, awaken my spirit to soar to new heights. And we have the warrior wolf, intelligence, instinct, protection, fierce hunter and protector, be the guardian of my journey. So pile 2, this is really beautiful. But I feel like where all of y'all are at with this is going to be different. Agape is the energy of unconditional love. And I think that you are learning what this energy actually is and what embodying it actually looks like. I definitely get a vibe from this pile, even just with like the white blood cell that you chose, that maybe you were always hoping, for example, like a white knight or like somebody to come in and just save you from all your troubles, to just save you from all your worries, and to like kind of be that prince or princess charming where they like, you know, just fix all your problems and make life better. And I think that one thing that you're definitely realizing is that that type of person truly just doesn't exist. And even if it does, it's too good to be true. And eventually you realize, oh, if I'm not happy with myself, then I'm just not going to be, nobody's ever going to make me happy. So one thing that I'm seeing here is that you are currently in the process of understanding the difference between your ego and your soul. And actually, Charlotte from Happy Twins 1111, if you've never checked her channel out, please do. She channeled a really wonderful metaphor for the ego. And she essentially was explaining, she actually had a community post about it. If I can't link it below, go check it out. It should be on her community tab. She posted it recently, but we were actually talking about it and it was just really brilliant. She was talking about how your ego is essentially like a program on your computer, like your self computer, and you are the operator. So you can see above that and you can choose to run certain programs or not certain programs. And when you think about it, as humans, we are just programmed in certain ways. But that doesn't mean we have to always be programmed in a certain way. We don't always have to follow certain patterns. And I feel like you've been in this process of realizing, or if you're not there yet, you will be, that your ego was attached to a lot of ideas or people that I don't want to say weren't serving your highest good. This doesn't even have to be people. This could be beliefs about yourself, beliefs about the world that really were not serving you. And I think the reasons for these beliefs were different. For some, I do feel, and honestly, I feel like you could have like a bunch of these different instances. So like maybe for some of you, you were attached to a person that you have like a soul connection with, but instead of like, which first of all, obviously, you know, being attached to things isn't always healthy, but maybe you were also attached to what happened in the past and attached to how that made you feel. Maybe for some of you, you still are. For others, you could be attached to attached to memories of people that hurt you in the past. You could be attached to beliefs about who you're supposed to be or beliefs about what you need to do. And you may be realizing that that's tied more into what your ego wants than what your soul wants. Because this agape card also talks about looking at spirituality and religion and things like that. And instead of putting yourself as what you like worship, putting a deity, nature, a power higher than you at the center. Because I do think that there has been probably like a humbling of some sorts in your recent past, or a long process of it for some of you. But I think that there has been a realization of what things that you've been trying to manifest or achieve that haven't been because it's what your soul wants, but it's been because it's what your ego wants. But I also think that there is a truth coming to light about an aspect of who you are. And I think that this aspect of yourself has always made you really uncomfortable, but you know it's your truth. And part of this process of learning unconditional love is learning that the people that don't accept you for embracing this truth are not people that you want in your life in the first place. And I do feel like that y'all have been reaching a level of understanding within yourself that, you know, with this self-worth, I feel like you're understanding that you are worthy of so much more and that you always have been. It's just that your perception was that you weren't deserving of it. But you have these like really powerful and intense animals around you. You have a shark, you have an eagle, you have a wolf. And I do feel like this is spiritual energy around you, but I think that these are also energies innately within you. And I think one thing that you're realizing is that you've always had the capabilities of protecting yourself. You've always had the capabilities of looking out for yourself. But doing that obviously requires a level of self-awareness and responsibility that isn't always easy to embrace. And the fact that we have this Swan card here, this talks about being sensitive, being emotional, being incredibly creative. I feel like for a lot of you, you could be starting a career around your creativity, or you could be becoming more confident in your creative abilities, or you might even be seeing success with your creative abilities. But maybe there's a fear around living in that truth. Like maybe for some of you, you want to be like a freelance artist, or for others, you know, maybe this is about a certain identity that you have been afraid of, like, embracing. Now, this isn't me saying like, you know, like, oh, come out. Like, I'm not saying that at all. Like, obviously, if there's something that you need to like come out with, you never have to do that. And that is your choice, and that is your choice only. But just acknowledging that truth with yourself, honesty with yourself could be freeing. And I don't even mean that in just like one way. I just mean that in general. What you are learning right now is like radical self-honesty, because as long as you don't embrace it, there's always going to be these nagging feelings in your subconscious, like things aren't right. And I think that maybe in your past or even currently, you've kind of projected this feeling of like happiness or this feeling of peace or this fairy tale life on another person, on a situation, on, well, once I get to XYZ place, then things will be okay. And I think what you're learning is that when you kind of remove yourself from remove your mask, remove your ego from what it is that you want, remove your concern for what others will think, and listen to what your soul actually wants, you start to understand why certain things don't come to fruition and why other things come in as massive blessings. Because I think you're starting to see, I do believe that a lot of you have spiritual gifts, or just gifts in general, like talents for something, or and this can be something as simple as like a talent for nurturing, a talent for communication, whatever it may be. And I think that you're starting to realize that this isn't about, that this talent isn't about gaining prestige. This talent isn't about, you know, bawling out and flexing on other people. It has a deeper purpose. And for a lot of you, I feel like it's being of service, doing something that is beyond yourself. And I think that as you're starting to learn to unconditionally love yourself, you're unlearning a lot of things that your ego was trying to convince you that you needed to know. I know I brought up people that you may have soul connections with. That may be really difficult for you to deal with sometimes, because maybe you ruminate about the past. Maybe you think like, well, do they really feel this way about me or do they not? And I think what you're learning by practicing unconditional love for yourself, and in turn unconditional love for them, which that can be a lot more difficult. The one that really matters is for yourself. You're starting to realize that you don't have to look at these situations from an ego perspective. And often if you talk about these situations with people who have not experienced this before, you know, they will say things like, well, screw them, like they suck, they, you know, blah, blah, blah. You didn't need them anyway, you're better than that. And obviously that's not very satisfying, and it's a little invalidating at times. And I think what Spirit is trying to get you to understand is that you don't need to prove anything to anyone about these connections or about these beliefs that you may have. Instead, you need to release your attachments to outcomes of what may happen here, and trust that, one, Spirit has your back, and two, that only having expectations or being attached to certain outcomes is doing you a disservice and is slowing you down. Because with this protect your heart here, I feel like one thing Spirit wants you to realize is that a lot of your power is in your compassion, is in your sensitivity. And that's not necessarily something that is valued in our society. And unfortunately, we do have to experience a lot of I don't even want to say prejudice, but like, you know, people that manipulate those sensitivities. And I think one thing that you're realizing, this is also too about seeing yourself as a divine being and not just a person, and realizing that there are gifts that were bestowed upon you, not so that you can, you know, like flex or like have this happily ever after, but to honestly serve humanity. And that's part of what unconditional love is, because there are going to be people that don't understand you. There are going to be people that shit all over you and treat you like crap. But Spirit is saying that through unconditionally loving yourself, you're always going to be protected from that negativity, from that energy, because you have unconditional love surrounding you, but also you're so much fiercer than you realize. And the more you trust in the more security you have in yourself, the more you embody this love, the more you look at things from compassion. I'm hearing Kuan Yin. So for some of you, you might want to look into her. She is I believe she's a Chinese deity, but she's a goddess of compassion and love and like ultimate compassion. And in fact, if you're afraid of working with deities, she's a great one to start with because she is so compassionate. Pearls, I've heard, are a sign of her. I think there's other ones as well. I would have to check. But she is a beautiful, beautiful energy to be in. I almost feel like that's kind of the energy that you need to be in. Because your ego will want to keep score, will want to do people dirty the way maybe they did to you. And I think one thing that Spirit is saying is that that energy doesn't serve you. And that, you know, being petty or like being, yeah, like being petty or doing people the way they did you, fighting fire with fire is just going to create more fire. And that in fact, rising above it with compassion is so much more freeing than anything else. And that you're smart enough and you can trust your intuition to protect yourself. And that doesn't mean like, you know, you have to like be around people that are not kind to you. Of course, like get yourself away from that. But you have to be able to forgive yourself for what you didn't know, and also forgive yourself for like things that you didn't know in the past. But I also think that there's a level of forgiveness. I'm not saying that you need to forgive anyone for things that they did to you, but you do need to forgive yourself for feeling like you deserved that kind of treatment. And I also think that when there's a healthy level of detachment and love for yourself, and also connections, especially spiritual connections, actions that may happen, instead of taking them personally, you'll be able to zoom out and see why they did that, or just simply not care why they did that. You'll see the games being played, you'll see the egos work, and you'll realize that there's so much power in transcending the ego, and that the ego really doesn't serve you to begin with. And that your loving, genuine nature is more powerful than anything else. And I think that you guys have been on a journey of this awareness, and your truer self is becoming more and more powerful. It's like this volcano. It's coming out, and there's nothing you can do. It's splooging everywhere. Spirit, why do you use that word? Anyway, with this baby steps, follow your intuition before it makes sense. This is an excellent example of believing before you see. Instead of seeing is believing, believing is seeing. And I think that Spirit is going to show you that more and more. But one thing that you need to understand, and one thing that you may not see, is that you're fully equipped to protect yourself. And that part of your lessons have been you realizing that through love, you can always protect yourself. And as long as you have love for yourself, anything anyone says, anything anyone does, while it might hurt, while it might be painful, while it might take time to heal from that, by looking at it from a place of love or just compassion and like seeing the hurt behind, you know, hurt people is kind of like the point that I'm trying to make. And I always like to think that if we saw the pain behind a lot of people's actions, we might be more compassionate towards them. It doesn't forgive what they did. It doesn't mean that you have to invite them into your life. But I think that being compassionate towards others and, you know, one, not stooping to people's levels and taking the high ground is something that Spirit wants you to understand, because the ego is the one that wants to fight fire with fire. The ego is the one that wants to have the last laugh, to get vindication, to get righteousness for things that happened. And Spirit is saying that's not your job. That's not your purpose. You were brought here. I feel like there's a lot of light workers in this pile. And like y'all were brought here to spread light, not to like relive these cycles of pain. It doesn't mean that you have to forgive people in your life for what they did for you, but it does mean that you're free and that you always have a choice in how you view things. And I think for some of you, you might be dealing with like really intense soul connections that you might be having trouble coming to terms with or understanding why you're going through all of this. And partially one thing that Spirit is saying is that when you start to look at things through the eyes of love, life doesn't feel as intense. Things don't feel as stressful. Things aren't as serious. I feel like there's a need for more lightness in your life and just more joy, and to understand that you are so strong. But the only person you've ever needed is yourself. And the more you release these attachments to things that no longer serve you, the happier you'll be. And the more at peace you'll be, and the more you'll be able to progress in your life. Because the people that shit on you, that try to bring you down, like, that's just a projection of them and how they see themselves. When you're confident in yourself, when you see your self-worth, you'll recognize that none of that matters, that none of that truly matters. Like, when you are protected, when you walk in the light, when you recognize that you are love, when you are unconditional love, the world just becomes so much lighter. And it is not easy to always stay in that energy. I will completely admit, like, as a light worker myself, it is hard for me to always act like that and see things from that way. But I promise it makes life a lot easier to live when you don't have to carry the heaviness all the time, you know? Sometimes it's just not worth it. And I feel like a lot of this you probably already know. Maybe you just needed a realization of it. But I always, like, in my meditations and shit, I'll say, like, I am love. Like, not I give and receive love, because it's not about reciprocity. It's not about, like, other people showing it to me. It's about the faith in that at least I am acting in the way that I want to be. And, like, I used to have this fear of, like, well, if I'm kind to people, like, you know, what if they talk badly behind my back? Or, like, what if they... And guess what? Sometimes people will. Sometimes people do that. And the truth of the matter is, at least you can say that you were authentic. At least you can say that you came from a loving place. And, like, it might be painful, but it's like, at least you can say you're not the type of person who needs to do things like that in order to feel better about themselves, you know? Others hating on you won't make them more successful. At the end of the day, point blank, period. And the universe responds to love. The universe responds to generosity. And the energy doesn't lie. And the more loving and compassionate you are towards yourself, the easier it is to be that way towards others. Because you really can't understand how to be that way towards others if you're still fighting feelings of self-worth and shit like that. So let's go ahead and see what you don't see about yourself now. So Spirit, what does pile 2 not see about themselves? Okay, yeah, the 4 of Pentacles. Cups. There's that swan again. This pile, okay. Yeah, we have the Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands. One more, Spirit. We have the Three of Cups, okay. Can I get clarifiers for all of these? So the Four of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands, clarifying the Queen of Cups. We have the Six of Pentacles. This even like makes me think of Kuan Yin. I don't know if that's her, but she's represented in a lot of different ways. We also have the Nine of Pentacles, clarifying the Six of Wands. We have the Devil, recognizing, clarifying the Three of Cups. We have the Eight of Wands, and on the back of the deck we have the Page of Pentacles, and underneath that we have the Witch. So yeah, this is really promising. So yeah, this is kind of confirming everything that I was already saying. You know, with the Four of Pentacles being here, clarified by the Ten of Wands, it's honestly kind of a burden to hold on to attachments sometimes. And you'll find that when you hold on to things less freely, or when you just say like, you know, things will come and go, but I will always have myself, the burden of losing things, the burden of fearing that things will be gone, isn't something you'll have to carry. You know, with this Four of Pentacles, it's like you might be holding on to people or experiences or past memories or past things that really messed you up, like with an iron grip. And Spirit's saying like you don't have to, and you don't deserve to carry that burden, because at the end of the day, you're such a compassionate person. You really are. And I think that you know that, but it's just like most people, you develop walls as a protective mechanism, or you learn to we develop habits and traits as a way to protect ourselves. And I think that what Spirit is saying is that when you give from the heart, when you process things through your heart, I mean, like this is learning how to embody like divine feminine energy. And that doesn't mean that you have to, it doesn't matter what your gender is. We all have feminine and masculine energy within us, but embodying divine feminine energy is about overcoming the ego by embracing the ego with compassion and understanding that we can't really fully get rid of our ego. And it's kind of funny because when we get into advice, we're gonna look at the ego, but instead looking at your ego with compassion. And kind of that metaphor that I was saying that Charlotte was talking about is seeing how your ego operates, understanding that part of your processing system, and understanding that you can close out that tab, you can close out that program at any time. You know, compassion is often a choice. And instead of holding on to the things that hurt you, the things that make you feel angry, Spirit is asking you to be more generous with your love, be more generous with your spirit. And I think what you don't see is that when you give from the heart, when you have an open heart, people may still try to hurt you. But when you look at yourself through that love and you embrace that compassion, the only person they're hurting is themselves. And you can look and you can see it from that higher perspective where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they probably have wounds related to XYZ, or they, you know, I guess they weren't ready for that, and that's okay. Like, when you just look at things through a compassionate lens, everything feels so much lighter and just so much like, like I don't really have to worry about this as much as I thought I did. And this isn't an easy thing to do. And at times, like, we are human, and we are going to be angry. We are going to be pissed. Things are going to test our patience. And embracing those feelings are important, and allowing them to flow so that you can get back to that energy of love sooner, because you deserve to feel that peace. And with the Ace of Wands here and the Nine of Pentacles, I think that this attitude is not only going to make you feel more comfortable in your independence, it's going to help you heal your codependence on others to receive love, to receive validation, But also, I think that there are a lot of creative opportunities that you could use from this love. I think that you'll find a newfound passion for life. And I think what you're not seeing is that this could be very, very beneficial for you. This outlook could be very beneficial from you from a financial perspective, because Spirit rewards acting out of love. Spirit rewards service. And so I think that one thing that Spirit is saying is that you have to look beyond you. It's not necessarily about you, it's about your soul. And as humans, we just have egos. It's part of life. But like our spirit guides, you know, our angels, spiritual energy deities like Kuan Yin, for example, they don't have ego. Like they're spiritual energy. They're high energies of love. And like part of being a human is having an ego. And that's often why like animals don't really have ego, because they don't have that or less ego, because they don't have that same frontal lobe processing center that humans do. Like with self-awareness comes ego and shit. It's just part of being human. But what Spirit is saying is that you are more than what your ego tells you you are, or what your ego tells you you have to be, or what your ego tells you how you have to act. And Spirit is also almost saying reclaim your ego, accept it for what it is. It's there to protect you. It's not there to hurt you. But when it comes to your ego, understand that you will feel so much more confident and have so much, you will be a lot more successful when you reclaim that part of yourself, and instead of allowing it to control you, lovingly observe it and see why it wants to do things the way it does, and understand what it's trying to protect you from, or what things it's trying to keep you conditioned to do. Because with this Devil card, it's all about embracing this. Instead of trying to pretend like it's not there, develop an awareness for it, understand why it's there, and always take action that comes from joy, that comes from love. I know I feel like these things are hard to explain, and it's always easier said than done. But the right things to do will feel right in your heart. If they satisfy your ego, but they don't feel right in your heart, then they're obviously not right. And I think that Spirit is saying that you will find a lot more joy, or come back to that state of peace and calm and those highs of joy through allowing those negative feelings to surface, observing your ego, observing why these things are happening when these triggers come up. And I think what Spirit is saying is that by doing that, and the more you practice it, the sooner you'll be able to get to a baseline of compassion, of love, because there is a big part of you that is meant to operate from the heart, that is meant to be generous. And I think that you are very generous. But when people wrong you, or things hurt your ego, or you just you fall into that scarcity mindset, which obviously that's not something that's very easy to let go of, especially if you grew up in poverty and things like that. I'm not saying that that's something that happens right away, but understanding that the universe wants to bless you, but you have to understand that it's deeper than just prestige. It's deeper than getting the bag. It's deeper than getting clout. It's about helping and serving others. I think that a deep part of your purpose is about seeing things through the eyes of love, no matter what it is that you do, because not only will life be lighter, but you won't take yourself as seriously anymore, and you'll be able to laugh at things that you could not laugh at before, and things will just feel like a breath of fresh air. I'm telling you, with this Page of Pentacles and this Witch card, you are getting there. You are manifesting blessings. And with Jupiter being here in the background, Spirit is saying we have blessings on blessings to give you. And you're getting there. But the sooner you embrace that this journey, your journey is not about you, and instead it's about service, it's about things deeper than you, than your ego, than making your ego happy, the sooner the universe can bless you like crazy and shower you with the abundance that you deserve. And not only that, you'll have a deeper purpose in your actions. You'll have a deeper reason for why you do things. And you'll have such a deeper level of awareness than others when it comes to life in general. Like dating, for example, you know, all this dumbass games that people play in dating. Oh, you know, don't text them for 3 days, even if you like them. Like, you don't want them to think that you like them too much. And like, you know, just like dumb shit like that. And when you talk about that shit with your friends, you know, they'll always be like, oh, well, screw them. Like, just get back out there and stuff like that. You know, and I think there's a lot of beauty in embracing your independence and embracing your heart. And I know a lot of this is kind of going all over the place. But I think Spirit is saying that people aren't always going to see your perception. They're not always going to see eye to eye with you. I won't be surprised if I get a little bit of flack for even talking about this. But that's just because people don't understand this perception. And that's okay. But what I will say is that embracing this perception, it has a lot of value because you just feel lighter. You just feel lighter. And you realize that you do have protection around you. You are protected. And when you love yourself, nobody can fuck with your energy. Nobody can fuck with you. Like, it might hurt you for a little bit. It might burn, but like, you get over it faster and faster and faster, and you heal things faster and faster and faster. And I think that's part of your journey, part of your process, is like seeing how your ego holds you back from embodying your truest self, because your truest self is so kind and compassionate. And I think that you just get afraid of showing it because of how people respond to it. But that's not your problem, you know? And just know that, like, there's nothing stronger than having a kind heart and showing compassion to others, because we have enough hate and mean shit in this world. Do you really want to contribute to that? And I don't really think that you do, but it's just a reminder of, like, you know, you got to be the change you want to see in the world. So what does pile 2 need to forgive themselves for, Spirit? Okay. Yep. I forgive myself for holding on to the notion that no one understands me. I choose to believe that when I make an unwavering effort to understand myself and the way I feel, I am able to effortlessly communicate with others on a deeper level. Yup. What else, Spirit? I forgive myself for thinking that I must look or act a certain way in order to be enough. I choose to believe that I am innately worthy, and when I allow every aspect of my being to be expressed without discrimination, I realize the extent of my brilliance. Yup. What else, Spirit? I forgive myself for shaming and rejecting the experience of imperfection. I choose to believe that my unique expression invites me to show up in ways that may challenge the ideas of what is currently preferable in order to make room for something greater. Yes, this card especially, because it's like other people might shame you and reject your experiences the same way you do it to yourself. And when you show up for yourself in a loving and compassionate way, it's going to make people uncomfortable. They're not going to understand it. But that's just because people are so used to operating in ego. And transcending that is not an easy thing to do. And it's something that you're constantly going to have to work with. You can't get rid of your ego. It's just a part of you. And instead, it's about learning how to embrace it and how to observe it so that it doesn't rule you and your actions. And on the back of the deck, we have, I forgive myself for taking from others when I am concerned I may not have enough for a future moment in time. I choose to believe that I am constantly being moved towards what is meant for me, and life's unconditional support is not only unwavering, but also unending. And I think that this is important. This is what Spirit's wanting you to understand. That's why it's important to take yourself out of your higher journey. Life's unconditional support is not only unwavering, but also unending. And the more you live in that energy of love, the easier this journey becomes. So pile 2, I am going to leave your reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. If you want to check out the extended, we're going to see what blessings are to come from embracing this. I'm really excited to look at yours because I think that there's a lot of good things coming for you. The more you embrace this, we're also going to look at like angel numbers and just kind of see what your guides need to know. But if you're leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. So big shout out to all y'all for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you left a like. If you haven't already, I would love it if you subscribed and click that little bell notification. Definitely comment down below. Let me know how it resonates and give some support to other pile twos. If you guys are interested in my merch, that will be down below as well as my socials. If you're unaware, my Instagram changed, so I am now at Real Aso Tarot, same as Twitter. But I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 3. If you guys chose Antonio, the Antibody, I'll give you some tea on antibodies for a second. So they are Y-shaped proteins produced by the body's immune system to help identify foreign interlopers such as viruses, bacteria, or toxic chemicals. So this is going to be a reading on what you don't see about yourself, and I'm already getting the vibe that y'all are going through some changes or identifying things that are not really fitting, you know, maybe some toxic things in your life or things like that. We will use the tarot to go deeper into what you don't see about yourself, but to make sure that you pick the right pile and this is your energy, I'm just gonna check out the vibes first, and then we'll go deeper into what you don't see. So to start, we have the ocean. We have lifting the veil, questioning everything, anything unaligned must go. We have the 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel. We have the rabbit and the hawk. We have someone soon and green. We have the dignified dragon, honor, good fortune, individuality. Fearless dancer of the flame, ignite the passionate fire within my soul. We have the observant octopus, complexity, multitasking, creativity. Shape-shifting guardian of the sea, grant me the power of transformation. And finally, we have impasse and we have insecurity. Okay, so yeah, this pile 3 already. Antonio, what are we gonna do with you? You wanna just, yeah, he's just gonna relax like that. Okay, so I'm gonna move these cards down though so you can see them. So this is definitely a specific vibe to me, and this is a vibe of no longer being able to run from your inner truths. And let's be clear, these inner truths have they've been around for a while, but you've been kind of able to brush them off. This spread indicates tons of spiritual growth that has been going on. Very necessary spiritual growth. And I wouldn't even be shocked if there's ego deaths involved in this as well. But what's really clear to me is that you're uncomfortable right now. And I think that that's really understandable because your perception is changing, because your awareness is growing, and you're spiritually evolving. And even if you don't see evolution as a spiritual thing, you're gaining more wisdom, you're gaining more awareness of yourself, and you can no longer ignore your subconscious. The ocean is all about the subconscious. You know, the ocean, we can't control it. It is all connected, and it is a vast, mighty, mighty thing, or body of water, I guess. You know, the ocean, we've explored more of space than we have the ocean. And the ocean is really representative of the things that are in our subconscious. And the fact that we have the 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel here, and lifting the veil, questioning everything, anything unaligned must go, is that you are gaining awareness. Awareness of things that were totally chill and normal to you and that didn't necessarily bother you at one point. It's like you're looking at the same things that have always surrounded you from a different lens. And it's incredibly uncomfortable because you're being forced to look at truths that were probably much more comfortable to be kept buried. And maybe you were aware that they were there, but they were easy to pretend like they weren't. But this hawk energy is coming in. And it's interesting because like, I'm not an expert on what hawks eat, but I feel like hawks do eat rabbits. I mean, they certainly don't shop at Whole Foods. So I think it's interesting that parts of your personality are being represented by the rabbit and by the hawk, because the rabbit talks about being overwhelmed by fear, being overwhelmed by being hypervigilant, being maybe paranoid, whereas the hawk talks about messages of divinity, bringing in fate, necessary changes. And so it's almost like this could be your higher self, your guides, the spiritual energy around you, but this is also your actions. They are coming in to take away your fear. It's still there and it's really uncomfortable, but you're starting to grow out of it. You're starting to grow out of these things that really held you back. And growth is typically kind of uncomfortable. Like I'm seeing the visual of like a hermit crab who has outgrown its shell and is looking for a new one. But instead of like a shell, I feel like it's more so like being open. The fact that we have this card that says green and 78, this is the last card in this deck. And I think that you are reaching an important point in just karmic cycles in your life, cycles of understanding, where you're growing. You're growing at an unstoppable rate. And all of this work that you've been doing, I feel like it's really been, there's kind of an internal battle between what you've always known and what you're beginning to understand and how that's changing your worldview. And obviously it's really scary to change those sorts of things. But I do feel like with this empath card here, it's almost like you're blocked from moving forward until you embrace these changes. And I think with this green here, that always makes me think of the heart chakra. And if you see this insecurity card, you know, there's like this little devil piercing the heart here. And I do think that maybe a lot of your actions were, and the actions that you're now looking at from a different light are actions that you did to escape these feelings of insecurity, whether it was using others to like affirm your ego, escapist behaviors through like, you know, substances or technology, things like that, even work. It's almost like you're having to face a truth. And I think one of those truths that you're having to face is that you have feelings, period. And that a lot of your actions do stem from a place of insecurity. Because here's the beautiful thing. You're gaining a lot more security in yourself. You're starting to see your worth. And it's almost like your higher self is coming back to you and is saying like, hey, it's time to clear all of these illusions away. Your subconscious is gaining power because you can no longer live in these lies or these fears that you've had telling you that you need to do things XYZ way, or just going about life on autopilot. I think autopilot is a big thing here. Because we have the observant octopus as well. And I love that we have this octopus and we have the sea. You know, complexity, multitasking, creativity, shape-shifting guardian of the sea, grant me the power of transformation. And that's essentially what you're doing because you're incredibly intelligent. But this intelligence can either work for you or against you. And the way it works against you is that you can overthink into oblivion. You can be in this rabbit energy where you just overthink with tons of fear. And truthfully, instead of thinking of creative ways to solve things, you might just ruminate over all the things that could go wrong instead. You use your creativity to hurt you rather than help you. And then with this fifth chakra here, Archangel Gabriel, it's like you're starting to embrace your truth. And this is a beautiful thing. But like I said, it's very scary and it's very uncomfortable. Growth is not easy, and it's not for the weak. I will say that. But you can't stop this growth because you have such powerful energy surrounding you. I'm pretty sure this is the only pile that got an archangel. This could have to do with creativity. This could have to do with business. This could have to do with how you relate to others. And it could have to do with all areas of your life. But it's almost like your subconscious refused to be subdued anymore. It's like your subconscious is creating like a massive hurricane inside of you that cannot be ignored. And it's important because it's like purging all the things that need to be gone. And I'm actually pretty sure hurricane season like just started. So I don't know if hurricanes are significant. But, you know, the ocean is, like, freaky because it's big and, like, I don't know, there's a ton of shit in there, like, you know? And it's scary to unlock our inner depths because we often don't realize what's lurking there and what has been controlling our actions. But your higher self refuses to allow anything less than the best from you anymore. I'm going to be honest. With this dignified dragon, ignite the passionate fire within my soul. I get a lot of fire and water energy here. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. But what's interesting here is that we actually have earth and air. So I could see all of the elements relating here. But I almost feel like it's your passion and your emotions that really drive how you act in the physical and how you think and perceive things, if that makes sense. But I feel like you've been battling this feeling of shame. You know, as you grow, you have to like embrace these things about yourself that maybe you don't want to admit, or you have to acknowledge truths that are painful. And this is all part of the process. And truthfully, it's something that humbles you. And while this growth is not easy, it's definitely worth it. Because I think that you've had an awareness for a while now that, like, okay, I'm hearing the phrase, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It's like you've been doing the same things over and over, expecting different results, but you're not gaining any satisfaction. You're not growing, or you haven't been growing. And and I guess I don't want to say it's not that you haven't been growing, because you have. You've been growing internally and you've been gaining a lot of awareness, but there's a difference between knowing and being. You know things, that's why this hawk is here, but being it, grounding it into your reality, that's a hell of a lot more terrifying, because that means that anything unaligned must go, and you have to question everything. You have to question your actions, the people that you surround yourself with, the environment that you live in, the ways that you talk to people, the ways you interact with, it's everything. It's everything. And it's scary. So I want to commend you for getting this far, because, listen, spiritual growth is not all love and light. Like, it's painful. But here's the thing. We have this card that says someone soon, and I find it very interesting because the tarot deck you picked also has a feather on it. So I would say feathers, especially like blue feathers or like white feathers, could be a sign that you have angelic energy around you supporting you, or just a sign that you're on the right path. But I feel like this someone soon that you're getting is yourself, a truer form of yourself. This could be, and as a result, from embodying your truer self, you could then in turn have people come in or come back in that are more in alignment with what you believe now. But this fifth chakra is all about communication and speaking your truth. So, but the most important truth to be speaking to is like the truth towards yourself. Speaking your truth to others is obviously important, but this is about acknowledging your truth and being your truth instead of just knowing it. And so I think because you've known these truths for a while and you're not, and you've kind of just been stagnating because you're afraid of grounding them and embodying them, Spirit's kind of doing it for you or creating obstacles until you do it yourself. And there's a lot of wonderful things to come from this. And so Spirit doesn't want you to be afraid, because with this green card, it's like the more you embrace your heart, the more you embrace your emotions, the more you embrace what's been lurking in your subconscious and you acknowledge these inner truths, the easier it is going to be for you to continue walking down your path. You're going to be able to fly instead of live in fear. The path is being lit for you. Instead of getting lit, you're going to see the light. Okay, I hate that. I'm stopping myself. I'm sorry. But I think it's very fitting that you chose this antibody, because it's literally detecting the toxic things around you that are no longer serving you but are hindering you. And this level of awareness, like I said, is uncomfortable. But when you get over that hurdle and you can look back and you're on the other side of that growth, you're going to be so happy that you went through it. And you're going to be so happy that you came on the other side of it. And I'm going to be like completely real with you. One of the scariest truths that I realized, I think by the time like I got to high school, is that like there are like very, very grown up adults that never mentally like leave high school, that never really grow. And that's like scary. But the thing is that we can't control other people. We can't make other people grow. All we can do is grow. And if they can't grow at the same pace, that's not our problem. You know what I mean? And so I think one thing that Spirit wants you to understand is that you're going to outgrow people. You're going to outgrow places. You're going to outgrow things. You're going to outgrow nouns, essentially, and verbs, and maybe some adjectives. But the important thing for you to understand is that with what falls away, something much better will come in. And it will be much more in alignment with your soul's truth and who you are as a person. And you will find that there's a lot more freedom in just embracing your truth than there is in forcing it down and trying to blend in. Because the fact we have this insecurity and this impasse card here, I think goes to show that this growth is going to give you so much more confidence in who you are as a person, and realize that your opinion of yourself is the most important opinion that you'll ever have. And you'll also see how your insecurities caused you to act in ways that weren't in alignment with who you truly are. And that you're not ruled by these actions, but that in fact, you can control these actions, and that you can identify, oh, I'm feeling insecure, I want to do X, Y, Z. There's this you have a very honorable soul. And it's literally just, you're in the process of integrating your soul and your 3D self, your higher self and your physical self into one. And that's all part of spiritual growth. And so I just want to say, like, give yourself a huge pat on the back and give yourself a little bit of a break, because it's not about what you don't see. It's about what you finally are seeing and how uncomfortable that truly is. So the fact that you're getting there is really awesome. So let's go ahead and shuffle your tarot, because I really want to see what's going to come out. And honestly, I guess I'll ask what you don't see, but I almost kind of want to ask instead, like, just what the universe wants you to know about this. Like, why is this, like, I don't know. I'm just going to let the cards come through, and I'll channel the message as it. Okay, so the Six of Swords wants to come out. which is probably very fitting. This is all about moving forward to calmer waters. Once again, we have all that ocean imagery. It's like instead of navigating the stormy seas, it's like finding a calm river strait or some shit like that. I don't know a lot about water. I just know that it's wet. Okay. That was a bad shuffle. Okay. So, now, let's give it one more good shuffle. Like over here, like fumbling. Okay. So, Spirit, what does pile 3 not see? Or what do they need to see? What do they need to know? Let's just give us the tea, like, honestly. Ha, that rhymed. I ain't no William Shakespeare, but I do be spitting words. Okay, so we have the 6 of Swords, we have the 4 of Swords. We have the 10 of Swords, and I don't know a lot of math, but I do know that 6 plus 4 equals 10. Okay, wow, we have the 10 of Cups, and look at that, we have rabbits again. Whew. I don't know why I'm like getting like nervous. I don't know if you guys are nervous for what you're about to hear or like what's going on here. We have the 8 of Wands. Okay, so let's get some clarifiers for all these, Spirit. All right, 6 of Swords. We have the Fool. We have the 7 of Wands. We have the Devil. 10 of Cups. Three of Pentacles. Finally, Spirit, can you clarify the 8 of Wands? Okay, we have the 7 of Cups. And on the back of the deck, we have the Knight of Cups. And look at that. We have another octopus. Okay. So where do we want to start here? Yeah, you're about to start. You're on the cusp of a new beginning. But what it's really about for you is like actually embracing it. It's almost like Spirit's blocking you because you kind of made it clear through your actions that you're not really ready for it to start. There's so much mental energy around you. And I feel like with this 10 of Swords here, you know, you could have dealt with like backstabbing recently. Or honestly, these swords could have been swords that you fell on. You could have done yourself dirty by giving into maybe your own like unhealthy coping mechanisms, or where's that Mr. Insecurity card? Essentially all the things that you did to feel better about this insecurity kind of is embraced in this, is shown in this Devil card. This is also Capricorn energy. And I feel like you're feeling like naked, which kind of makes sense because this person in here is naked, but it's almost like too many truths have come to light. I feel like this is almost like an ego death. But at the same time, I also think that at one point, I also see this like in your childhood self. And so it's like you develop these insecurities, you develop these coping mechanisms as a way to feel safe, as a way to comfort yourself after being betrayed like this. But I think one of the most uncomfortable truths that you are realizing is that you continue to betray yourself when you don't listen to your subconscious, when you don't listen to what your heart wants, when you don't listen to what your intuition is telling you, when you don't listen to your gut. I feel like you felt really chained to a lot of things that you knew weren't the true you, but you felt much more comfortable embodying. It's like you would rather look like a fool than like somebody who has emotions or somebody that cares about things. And with this Six of Swords here, Spirit is really saying your fresh start is only going to happen when, one, you feel like you don't have to explain yourself anymore. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. No is a complete sentence. And I think part of your healing process is realizing that maybe not everybody is going to agree with how you grow and how you change. And unfortunately, that's kind of just a part of life. You know, we outgrow people. Some people, oh, I'm hearing the song by Justin Bieber, which I know is probably cringy, me being like, Justin Bieber, but like, because I don't know, I'm not, okay, but it's a cute song. It's called Lifetime, and it's actually one of my favorite songs. And in it, he says, some people, they come in your life for a reason. Others, they come in your life for a season. And then it's also about like a person who's like a lifetime, like somebody that you really care about. So maybe there's something in that too. Like maybe there's somebody that you really care about that maybe you hurt because of this, or somebody that you never was honest with because you were afraid of getting hurt. You were afraid of being open about that. But I don't want to say that for all of you. It's just with that song coming in, it is like, that song makes me cry when I listen to it. So I'm like, Spirit, you gotta get that out of here, because like I'm gonna cry. Anyway, with this Four of Swords and the Seven of Wands, I kind of see this hyper-vigilance again, where it almost feels like you just have to fight for like everything, for your right to party. And it honestly, it probably feels like the world is against you sometimes. But I think maybe you don't realize that sometimes maybe you are holding these wands towards yourself. And I think that Spirit is asking you to stop feeling so defensive about these changes. No is a complete sentence. And I think that's really important for you guys to understand, because I think that in order to embrace your truth, you're going to have to embrace things that really, really scare you. Like opening yourself up, or being honest with people that maybe you don't want to be in your life anymore, or be honest with people that you do want to be in your life. You know what I mean? And I'm hearing like pattern and chaos. And life is pretty much just like pattern and chaos. What's underneath this Nine of Wands? Page of Cups. Yeah, you're starting to learn about your own emotions again. I feel like you've been away from them for a really long time. And what's even interesting is that there's a white rose in this Fool, which is all about like new beginnings. And I think this is about new beginnings. But I think that there's things that you need to heal and move forward from, so that you no longer feel defensive, so that you no longer feel like you're on the attack. Because I do think that like even things that aren't an attack at all might feel like an attack to you because of things that you've gone through. It's almost like there's parts of yourself that are ready to die, that are ready to rest, but you've used them as like coping mechanisms, or just ways of like protecting yourself for such a long time that it's like, how do I even do that? And so I think Spirit is kind of showing you the way itself. And it's by embracing it, relief will come. That's what I want to promise you, is that relief will come. But what you need to understand with this Ten of Cups and this Three of Pentacles, your emotional fulfillment is going to take work. it is going to take change. And with this Three of Pentacles, I think of like collaboration. So it might take, you know, asking other people for help, especially if you're the type of person who does not like to ask people for help. And I also think that this is about recognizing what will even make you happy, because I think you're realizing that there's a lot of things that don't emotionally fulfill you, but maybe you don't know what does, or maybe you do know what does and you're very afraid of what that looks like. And I think that you feel like very impulsive, but in really interesting ways. It's like a destructive impulsivity where it's almost like you choose violence, you know what I mean? Because of this Seven of Cups, because you're just uncertain. And instead of taking time, this has Aries moon energy, I'm not gonna lie. Listen, as I have tons of Aries placements, I have a bad case of the Aries scaries, I get it. But yeah, this just has like Aries moon energy. I have a lot of friends with Aries moons, and like, they choose violence sometimes, I'm just gonna be honest. And it kind of seems like one of the things that Spirit is trying to get you to understand is that instead of just acting because you feel confused, because you are unsure of where to go, I think Spirit is asking you to kind of scale back. And when you don't know what to do, instead of running from it, like, uncertainty, like freaked out from it, instead, sit with it. Ask yourself, what do I want here? Instead of being mindless, try to be mindful. Zoom outside of yourself and see how your habits and your patterns actually contribute to your happiness or your unhappiness. Because with this Nine of Cups on the back of the deck, this is all about you fulfilling your own wishes so that you can reach this Ten of Cups. But you have to believe that your wishes are worth granting in the first place. And you also have to believe that the universe actually wants you to achieve those things. And it's very clear that they want you to achieve those things, which is why they're blocking you and having things naturally fall away, because even though they've tried to communicate, you haven't done it. So if you're unsure how to find the way forward, Spirit's going to stop you until you do. Or they're going to start clearing the path for you. And the way they clear it may be more uncomfortable than the way you could do it on your own. Guidance doesn't always come in the form of love and light. Like, I'm going to be honest. Guidance often comes in the form of tough love. I feel like cutting the deck. Page of Pentacles. What came out here? Queen of Cups. Yep. So there's a lot about emotions and a lot about new beginnings. Investing in these. Yeah, King of Cups as well. It's like balancing your feminine and masculine energies and being willing to invest in something. It's almost like being willing to invest in yourself or invest in your dreams with the acknowledgement that 1, failure is a thing. 2, people can be rejected. 3, that even if those things happen, you will be okay, and that the universe will take care of you, and that as long as you're living in your truth, you're doing the best that you can, and you're in alignment in the sense that you're being authentic to yourself. And so with this Nine of Cups here, this is all about your own wish fulfillment. And I think your wishes are buried deep in your subconscious. And I think that there are aspects, I do feel like for some of you, this could be a person. Not for all of you. I mean, the fact that I cut the deck and we have the Queen and King of Cups, this could be someone that you have a lot of emotions for with that 10 of Cups. Maybe you're focused on work, or you recognize that opening yourself up to something like that would take a lot of work. It would take compromise. It would take collaboration. It would take honesty. It would take change. And that is scary as hell. And the truth of the matter is, you don't have to do anything. You have free will. You can do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you have to believe that your own wishes are worth fulfilling, and that if you have them, there's a reason for them, right? And I think that you've really discounted just how special you are for a really long time. And maybe you refuse to believe the idea. Like, you might be afraid of intimacy, true intimacy, you know, where you're emotionally vulnerable or open with someone. You know, somebody seeing your flaws is scary, right? It's better to just keep things casual and just keep drifting, because then, you know, you can't get hurt. But then there's this little thing that just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. That's your truth. Because 3 things in the world are constant or unescapable: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And it doesn't matter how long you run, eventually that truth is going to catch up to you. And the truth of who you are is the most valuable thing you can embody, because you're only given, well, I wanted to say you're only given one life, but I do technically believe in reincarnation. So, like, listen, you're in one life right now, and this is your only life. And if you don't believe in reincarnation, then this is your only life. What the hell do you want to do with it? Do you want to escape it, or do you want to embrace it? I'm going to be like raw and honest here. Listen, buddy to buddy, pal to pal. In addition to the Aries scaries, I also had the Pisces crises. And Pisces are like notorious for escapism. It's the 12th house. It's the unseen. You know, it's uncomfortable. And I was unhappy with my life for a really long time. And I created coping mechanisms to escape the truths and the realities of life. And I really liked those. And some of them were really destructive, not towards others, but to myself. And I literally had to wake up one day and be like, I don't hate my life anymore. Like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why? I should be living my life. Like what the fuck am I doing? And I think that you're starting to realize that your life is worth living too, and that you deserve this happiness. You deserve this freedom to live your life, and that what other people think does not fucking matter, like at all. Because at the end of the day, we come in this world alone. Even if you're a twin, it's only one, a twin, triplet, whatever. It's one at a time. And you're going to leave this world alone. So you might as well do what made you happy so that you can leave with no regrets. I always think about, like, people are like, oh, well, what if I do this, or what if I do that? But I'm like, I don't want to look back and be like, what if? Fear is what if, but faith is even if. And I think that you've grown enough spiritually to understand that the universe is listening, the universe is watching, and the universe knows what's going on with you. And the universe wants you to be happy. The universe wants you to embrace your truth, which is why all of these obstacles and these blockages and these realizations are coming, because you are growing spiritually. But you cannot truly embrace that growth unless you're willing to make the change involved. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in an infinite loop of the same thing over and over and over, feeling the same dissatisfaction and the same just bleh. And you don't deserve to feel bleh. You deserve to feel good. Happiness means you're on the right path. And if you're not happy, then you're not on the right path. It's scary to explore our depths. But I feel like your guides need you to understand that your truth is not something to run from. Your truth is something to embrace. And your truth is different from everybody's. Everybody I'm talking to right now, this is a general reading. Your truth is going to be different from other people's. And what you want is going to be different for others. But whatever that truth is, it's important to embrace it, because I truly believe that what you want wants you to. And if you keep striving for it, it will come. And I don't know. I mean, I think that I'm living proof that you can just fucking do something and like make a life out of it. I was like stressing out about going to grad school, and now I don't even know if I'm gonna go, because like I'm having a good time doing this shit, reading these cards, giving you guys knowledge about antibodies. Like I'm having a good time. I'm living, like, y'all want to know, people ask me all the time about, like, my Moldavite. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it hasn't really been that intense because I'm kind of mostly in my truth. And that's why I can recognize this, because this change is really scary, and living in your truth is really scary, and you have to make changes that are uncomfortable. Like, I get all of this. And so don't feel like I'm, like, coming here like I'm preaching something I don't understand, because I do. But the only way to truly embody this is to believe that your emotional fulfillment is actually worth it. Because you are worth it. You are worth it. You are valid and you are important. And your wants and your hopes and your dreams are just as important as anybody else's. And you are not put on this earth to suffer. Suffering is human. That is just something that we cannot escape. You know, I've been reading a lot of Alan Watts, and he talks about how, you know, with high highs we have low lows, and, you know, the more we experience, the more beautiful things we experience, the more painful things we experience as well. It's just part of life. But you have to trust that there's a reason to all this insanity, and at the very least you should at least strive for the life that you want to live, and who you actually want to be. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, the only person that you're truly cheating is yourself when you don't give yourself that credit. But I think I'm done channeling now. Hopefully that wasn't too, like, preachy. I'm sorry if it was. Spirit just, like, really came through there, and they're like, listen, these changes are good. These changes are necessary. But I definitely think this deck will be helpful. So this is the advice that we're going to do before we take it into the extended, is where you're going to look at what you need to forgive yourself for. Because we all have an ego, and our ego is there to protect us, and it's not something that we can get rid of. Pile 2 is all about, like, transcending the ego and living in love. So, like, maybe if you want, maybe watch Pile 2 as well, because you might find that there's a lot of helpful tips in there, even if you don't resonate with the energy. But okay, Spirit, what does Pile 3, what do they need to forgive themselves for? Yeah. I forgive myself for avoiding people and situations that may make me uncomfortable. I choose to believe that each time I give myself permission to change my mind and commit to a new way of showing up in the world, I allow myself to be moved to where the possibility of deeper comfort exists. Yeah, this is all about, like, actually embracing these truths. Because, yeah, like, this literally, I took, like, a quiz to see, like, what my ego, like, what my strongest ego responses were, and this was mine. So, like, I get this. I was there. I avoid things that make me uncomfortable all the time, and people all the time. So, and that's something that I've had to grow from and heal from, and I'm still not perfect. And look at that. Look what's coming out again. I forgive myself for avoiding the experience of that which is new and unknown. I choose to believe that when I accept life's invitation to try something I've not yet experienced, I discover an even deeper connection with the miraculous complexity of my being. Yeah, it's like, just because you've experienced pain in the past, just because you've experienced betrayal in the past, does not mean that it will always be like that. You know, it's unfair to place those expectations on different people and on different experiences, because they're new. And you deserve to be open-minded about it. It's our ego that wants us to be right about things, and it's our ego that wants us to believe that we have to do things a certain way, when the truth is that we don't. And that being open-minded and just seeing where something can take you, it's really freeing, honestly. Let's see, what else, Spirit? What else? I forgive myself for thinking I need to know exactly where it is I am going before taking a step forward. I choose to believe that the path before me will be illuminated the moment I garner the courage to trust myself to make the first move. Yeah, I mean, this is literally, like, honestly, kind of embodying these two cards here with the 8 of Wands and the 7 of Cups. Instead of, yeah, like, you're very smart, and so you even have the genius archetype coming out. Your way of control is, like, trying to calculate every single move. But actually, in the last pile, there was a starseed card that said baby steps, taking action before you understand it intuitively. And that will bring you closer to your truth than you realize. On the back of the deck, we have the abstinent again. I forgive myself for feeling as though it is not safe for me to step out of line and be seen. I choose to believe that when I step out of what is familiar, I am able to playfully explore the different dimensions of my being so that I may discover a more authentic version of myself. Yeah. This is everything that I was saying. So what's going up here? Who's this pentacle? Ace of Pentacles. A solid start is coming your way. A fruitful start is coming your way when you embrace these truths. A solid start, but it's an opportunity, so you have to embrace it. But when you embrace these truths and get out of your comfort zone and follow what it is you truly want, you'll find that your life is, even, you know, the thing is like, isn't it, it's better to have loved and lost than have never loved at all. And also, ooh, yeah, I think this is relevant to you guys as well. I felt like I needed to cut the deck. I forgive myself for giving my power away by valuing the opinions of others over my own. I choose to believe that when I trust myself to clarify and stand by my own truth, I allow for the creation of a world I actually want to live in, which is important. You deserve to live in a world that you want to live in. So pile 3, I'm going to leave your reading here. If you want to join me over in the extended, we're going to look at the blessings to come from embracing these truths. We're going to look at angel numbers you need to look out for and positive guidance for moving forward. But if you're leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching all the way through, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me, so I just want to say thank you so much, and thank you so much for letting me read your cards. If you enjoyed this video, definitely let me know down below in the comments, or definitely leave me a like. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you subscribed and click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading, but no pressure. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I hope it wasn't too preachy. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 4. If you guys chose Raoul, the Red Blood Cell, and the Gothmancy Tarot, this is going to be your reading on what you don't see about yourself. So before we get into it, I'm just going to give you some tea on red blood cells. They contain hemoglobin, which carries oxygen and carbon dioxide around the body. Hemoglobin gives red blood cells their characteristic color. When it is oxygen rich, it appears reddish, and when it is oxygen poor, it appears darkish and bluish. So, the more you know. So, before we get into today's reading, we are going to look at your energy. And this should be your reading if you can recognize your energy, and then we'll go into what you don't see about yourself. But maybe some of this you don't see and you're just waiting for it to be realized. But yeah, I guess we'll see. So to start, we have the Threshold, and actually as I lay down these cards, I'm gonna talk. Bob Dylan's Standing in the Doorway was playing in my head. And also, interesting juxtaposition, Dua Lipa's Don't Start Now. So, 2 songs, either of them could be relevant. I think this card actually talks about that Bob Dylan song, which is probably why it was playing in my head. But, yeah. We also have the Hyena and the Buffalo. We have Acceptance. Actually, no, I want to put her over here. And Isolation. Sorry, Raoul. Nah. Okay, what else do we have? We have Devoted Dog, Honesty, Loyalty, Dependability, Loyal and Faithful Friend to Man, Protect and Guide Me Between the Worlds, and Magical Moon, Insight, Illumination, Discovery. Take me on a spirit journey to remove the layers and reveal my inner strength. Finally, we also have Justice, and we have Gifts from the Past. So yeah, like this Threshold card talks about, you're on the precipice of a very big and important change for you. And this change has not come without its challenges. But you're like about to go through a new beginning. And this is a pretty big new beginning. I'm sure you know what this new beginning is if you pick this pile. This new beginning, when I say big, I mean, it could seem small to others, but big to you. Whatever big means to you. This could be moving. This could be changing jobs. This could be following a passion, following success. This could be something like, for some of you, it could be related to like, you know, changing your relationship status, either from leaving a relationship to entering one, to entering a greater step in a relationship. There's like tons of different things here. But with the isolation card, I do kind of feel like in terms of relationships, it's likely that you're either walking away from one, or maybe you're afraid of entering one even though you've met a really great person because of, you know, fears. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing overall is that, yes, you are on the precipice of a really great change, like I said. And one thing that I need you to be aware of, just like right off the bat, pile 4, is that you have a lot of spiritual energy around you, guiding you, that loves you. And you're incredibly talented. This hyena talks about talent. And I think it's interesting that we have this devoted dog, because it even talks about protecting and guiding you between worlds. But I think that you've always been honest, loyal, and dependable to others, but you've never really extended that to yourself. And so this next step, this journey that you're going on, is incredibly important because it's about you. It's not about others. It's about what you want. And I think that's what's either helping you or hindering you with moving forward on this. You're probably really funny because the fact that we have the hyena here, but you might be the type of person to use humor as a coping mechanism that actually reveals deeper truths just within your humor. And you're being led somewhere new, whether that's just a mental place, a physical place, or on a journey. With this activated earth, power places, ley lines, trust where you're led, and this walking away, it's very clear that you're making a movement of some kind. And it's interesting because I don't think everybody is happy about this for you. And I don't really think that's your problem. It's not really something that you can help. And it might be because these people are trying to protect you. It could be because these people are afraid for you and what might happen. Or it could be because these people are like jealous, or it triggers something within them where they feel like they don't have the same courage to do what you're doing, and that's triggering to them. But with this Justice card, I see Libra energy here. We also have fire and earth, so Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, and Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You're being led here for a reason. And what's interesting is that this is an animal deck. This is the only card that doesn't have an animal on it. And so Spirit is really saying you're being led on this journey for a reason. And the fact that you have the buffalo here shows that this is actually a practical move for you. And it is led from spiritual insights. The buffalo is the perfect combination between grounded and spiritual. And I feel like you get inspiration like lightning. It just comes as quickly as it can go, truthfully. But sometimes you just know the way. And it might seem impulsive to others, but you know it's right. With this gifts of the past here, I do feel like your ancestors and your spiritual guides, like I said, are helping you along this. And there are actually blessings to come from this step that you're taking and from these things that you're walking away from. Because I feel like you're transferring this loyalty and this dependability and this honesty from others and redirecting it towards yourself, which is exactly what you need to go on this journey, to be on this journey. And I think with the hyena, there's a need for you to recognize how talented you are and to believe that you can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I do think that Spirit is saying that there needs to be a level of acceptance that not everybody's going to be happy with the decisions that you make. But that's really not your problem. because it's your life to live. And now I'm realizing that we have red and blue. And it was talking about hemoglobin. It was talking about oxygen. And I'm hearing that song, No Air. Isn't that by Jordan Sparks? And oxygen obviously helps give life. And it's almost like you have to accept. Raul is here to say that, like, you have to accept what it is that you want to follow. Because that's what helps you breathe. That's what gives you life. And otherwise, you just feel isolated. And at times, you're just going to feel isolated no matter what. But at the very least, I think you would rather feel isolated doing something that you feel good about, or doing something that you feel passionate about, or following what feels right to you, than staying in line and making others happy. But at the end of the day, you have to make a choice and make it with conviction and accept that. Because you have the option to not walk away. You have the option to not cross the threshold. But it kind of seems like that's what your soul is telling you. And it definitely seems like this is where you're being led. And if there's any specific places that you want to explore, definitely explore those places. Because there might be past life influences, or people that you need to meet there, or things that you need to see for you to understand on your journey. Or maybe these are new places where you need to live. This thing that you're walking away from, you don't even have to be physically moving. You could just be walking away from like a belief system. You could be walking away from a way of living. You could be walking away from habits that no longer serve you. But you are starting a spiritual journey, and you're crossing that threshold. And one thing that Spirit wants you to be aware of is that not everybody is going to understand you, and that is going to feel isolating. But it is better than the isolation that you feel when you're not understood and you're not following your dreams. You want to be red and full of oxygen, full of life. You don't want to be blue and sad and not feeling like you can't breathe. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, this is definitely the vibe that I'm seeing. You're being guided between two different worlds. The world that you're leaving and the world that you're entering. And you're crossing that threshold. And so this is a really beautiful thing for you. And so I'm really excited to get into the tarot, because I think there's going to have some good truths in there, and just some encouragement that you need. I feel like this is a lot of stuff you already know. It's just things that you need to hear. Maybe need that encouragement. Yeah, definitely listen to that Bob Dylan song. I think it's like, it's a good song. And yeah, I like it. Oh, also something, I was about to say something that was like not appropriate for the internet, but that hyena card also talks about sobriety. Maybe if you've been thinking about taking a tea break or something like that, maybe like look into doing that, or just to have a clear head, or just maybe to save some money or something like that. Because that hyena does talk about using like humor, and then also like substances to bury feelings that maybe you don't want to acknowledge. I can actually bend them this way. So we are going to see, Spirit. I think I already said it, but yeah, this is the Gothmancy Tarot deck. So Spirit, what does pile 4 not see about themselves? What does pile 4? Okay, we have the Tower. We have the Ace of Wands. We have the Page of Swords. Something about Mary Shelley is relevant here. I know she wrote Frankenstein. We have the Nine of Wands. We have the Emperor. Okay, so we have Aries energy out here. Let's see what else, Spirit. Can you clarify all of these for me? Can you clarify the Tower for me, please? Okay, we have the Page of Pentacles. We have the Hanged Man. We have the Wheel of Fortune, clarifying the Page of Swords. Clarifying the Nine of Wands, we have the Four of Swords. And how about clarifying the Emperor, please? We have the Ten of Pentacles. And on the back of the deck, we have the Two of Cups. Okay. What's underneath the Two of Cups? The Hermit. So typically when I look at the Two of Cups, I think about that being like a relationship. So for some of you, this might be talking about a relationship that you thought you were going to be in forever. For others, I really just see this as like integrating two parts of yourself and embracing all parts of yourself instead of ignoring the ones that other people don't like. I think one thing that you don't see about yourself, pile one, is that these drastic changes that you're going through, the resistance from other people is not your problem. And in fact, it's almost like you're being guided towards these changes anyway, because you are being put in a cage and you are stagnating, in all honesty. And with this Page of Pentacles here, I think that what you're maybe not seeing is that while these changes may be scary, this is an opportunity for you to explore fruitful new beginnings. And it's almost like you would have gotten to this point no matter what. It's like you're just doing it sooner rather than later. You're embracing it now rather than continuing to try to ignore it. I definitely see this resistance between maybe what your family wants for you and what you want for yourself, or just a family influence in general. For others, I feel like this Emperor could be talking about maybe the head of a family, but I feel like this Emperor really represents you. Once again, I'm hearing from Spirit, no is a complete sentence, and that you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. But there will be a period of like study when it comes to this. You will start out, you'll start small and you'll grow. It's kind of like what I'm hearing. With this Hanged Man, we have Pisces energy here. And with this Ace of Wands, it's almost like what Spirit wants you to understand is that you might be feeling guilty for making this choice, but what you don't see is that you're doing what's best for you because you're surrendering to what you feel passionate about, and you're surrendering to what feels like your truth. And it's not that it feels like your truth, it is your truth. And so the fact that you're surrendering to it is good. That's healthy. The Spirit is happy. It's like you're freeing yourself from your cage instead of Spirit having to create a tower moment for you to realize your truth. Or maybe you did have a tower moment that made you realize that you have to get out of this, or this situation that you're in. And you're realizing that, like, yeah, you know, I deserve a passionate new beginning. I deserve something that's going to make me very happy, because one thing I see here with the Ace of Wands and the Nine of Wands is that I feel like you were getting really worn out. You were getting really exhausted. And maybe for some of you, this is a specific message, but if this has to do with leaving a relationship, one thing Spirit wants you to understand is that, you know, no relationship is a failure. When it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. There just is. I'm being called to like fix my aura coded clear quartz heart. That's a mouthful to say. And one thing Spirit wants you to understand is that this fresh new outlook is leading to something really beautiful. And that by being open-minded and instead of staying fixed on what has stopped working and trying to figure out how to fix it, instead of, because I think that even if you tried to fix it, you're recognizing that this just isn't right for you. You're open to new possibilities and you're open to a fresh perspective. This has student energy to me. So maybe some of you are going away to like study or something like that. But Spirit is saying this is the right move. And I think there's also a specific message for some of you to let your actions speak louder than your words, and that you don't have to explain yourself to people. It's your life and you can do what you want. But with this Nine of Wands, there's also a need for you to understand that this journey isn't just about like finding yourself. This is also about healing. Like there's something deeper here. And I do think that you kind of need this to heal. Like even in this Nine of Wands, like she's looking back, but in front of her is this new sparkly doorway, standing in the doorway. You're kind of being led here no matter what. And it's like you're taking that one wand of passion and following what works for you. And this is what you need. You need rest. You need a break from whatever it is that you're going through right now. And with the Emperor card here, Spirit's trying to get you to understand that you're in control of your own life. And that nobody gets to tell you how to live your life. And you need to follow what, like, I'm hearing on Ariana Grande be like, just keep breathing. And yeah, like with this Hermit card, this might be a journey that you have to go through alone, but you might meet somebody who is like Two of Cups level. You might meet your match. But I also get the vibe here that like this Two of Cups isn't like, this doesn't have to be another person. I think this is about embracing, finding harmony within yourself and finding and understanding that like what other people think of you is just a reflection of them. And I think what you're not seeing is that you're doing what's best for you and that you shouldn't feel guilty about that. And that, in fact, this path could lead to something very, very fruitful for you. A family of your own or a legacy of your own. And you deserve to feel like you're the master, the emperor of your own life. Why shouldn't you? It's your life. You have to live it. And what other people think, honestly, what other people think of you is none of your business. That's what I tell myself. And I like that. I like that phrase. I have this little like carnelian lightning. It's really making me think of you guys. So I'm gonna like put it here. It's like you guys need to follow what feels right. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that like with this tower, you know, lightning is probably very significant. And I think it's gonna be stormy before things clear up. But you know, what happens after storms is there's rainbows and like shit, right? And I think that all you need to hear is that you don't need to feel guilty about this new beginning. That this new beginning is exactly where you need to be and that you are in alignment with what you need to, with where you need to go. But that the one thing you do need to know is that you need to give yourself a break and you need to stop being so hard on yourself about doing this. Because it's not your job to make other people happy. It's your job to make yourself happy. And like, that's it, point blank. And that actually this is going to create very fruitful new beginnings for you. And that this is a positive turn of events for you. This is actually really wonderful. And I feel like I've been speaking a lot less for this pile than the other piles. But if I'm being honest, you guys don't really need much guidance. Like, you guys know what you're doing. You guys know where you're ready to go. I think it's just that belief in yourself that you can actually do it. Saturn energy could be important here. Maybe some of you are going through your Saturn return. But I think this Saturn is also about truth, and you're acknowledging the truth. And instead of having that truth come to you in a harsh way, maybe it did for some of you, but for others it hasn't yet, because you're acknowledging it. You're getting ahead of the game. You've got your head in the game, and you're embracing your truth. You're totally being, what is Zac Efron's name in High School Musical? Troy? You're totally being Troy Bolin right now because you are acknowledging that you like basketball and musical theater. You're embracing that there's two things here. You don't need to stick to the status quo. You don't need to stick to what you know. You do whatever the fuck you want, man. And I think that you're doing that and you're following what feels right to you, no matter... And, oh my gosh, that typical line, like, son, you're giving up your dream. No, Dad, I'm giving up your dream. That's what you're doing. That's literally what you're doing. It's awesome. I fucking love it. It's awesome. And this path might be lonely, like with that hermit. It might be isolating. But it's a spiritual journey, and it's about finding yourself. It is about finding your truth. And you should not feel guilty for that in the freaking slightest. I only said freaking because I feel like I've already said the F word too much. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm sorry this is so short. But like, y'all have it pretty much figured out. Y'all are really in control of this situation. There's really not much thinking you need to do about it. Just get excited for this new beginning and try not to feel so guilty about it, because you can't control how other people react. All you can do is control your actions and control your reactions. Yeah. I think this is really awesome. I'm really proud of you guys, pile 4. I think what you don't see about yourself is that you're doing a lot better than you realize. And that doing what's best for you is the right thing to do. And that you shouldn't feel guilty for that. So yeah, awesome job, you guys. Okay. So we are going to look at advice for you with the Self-Forgiveness Oracle deck. This is all about your ego as well. And we are just going to see here, Spirit, what do you need pile 4 to know? What does pile 4 need to forgive themselves for? I forgive myself for thinking that I know better than life itself. I choose to believe that the exact circumstances needed to create the experience most suitable for me is perpetually being created, regardless of what I think or do about it. Yeah, and I think there's something deeper here with just control. You're like trying to take things into your own hands. And I think maybe one thing you do need to release is like knowing if this is the right decision or not, because there's no like right or wrong decisions here. Like it's just decisions. And you might as well accept that like there's going to be positive and negatives to like everything that you do, but by following what feels right to you, that's really what's going to benefit you the most. I just think with this 9 of Wands here, don't look back. Don't look back. Like, you've got this promising future ahead of you. Don't look back with guilt, and think about how far you've come as well. You should be really proud of yourself. You're doing great. Your future is so bright, you literally have to wear shades. Like, that's awesome. We also have, I'm concerned. I forgive myself for taking from others when I am concerned I may not have enough for a future moment in time. I choose to believe that when I'm constantly being moved towards what is meant for me, life's unconditional support is not only unwavering, but also unending. And I don't really know if this top part really applies, but I do think this bottom part does. And this is what Spirit wants you to know. Life's unconditional support is not only unwavering, but also unending. And you had that gifts from the past pop out. So I really think that you have like ancestors or guides that really love you, that are wanting you to take this step, take this over. We also have, I forgive myself for attaching meaning to the experience of aloneness. I choose to believe that it is through accepting solitude and connecting with myself in my own silence that I am able to meet and integrate aspects of my being I have long been resistant to. Yeah, this is literally what you're doing. You're integrating 2 parts of yourself with this 2 of Cups. You are a basketball player and a musical theater kid. You're both, and that's okay. I mean, not literally, but metaphorically, of course. Maybe for some of you, literally. And on the back of the deck, I think this one is the most important. I forgive myself for giving my power away by valuing the opinions of others over my own. I choose to believe that when I trust myself to clarify and stand by my own truth, I allow for the creation of a world I actually want to live in. Yep. And that's what you deserve. You deserve a world that you want to live in. You deserve a world that makes you quite literally breathe life. So pile 4. I know this was a little short, but I'm actually going to leave this reading here. I'm going to take it over to the extended, where I really want to see what blessings are going to come from you following this path. We're also going to get some angel numbers and see what angel numbers are relevant to you and some more advice. And then finally, we are going to get some positive guidance moving forward and just anything else you might need to know. But if you are leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope it resonated, and thank you so much to everyone who watches my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you left a like, and if you haven't already, I would love it if y'all went ahead and subscribed and clicked that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. If not, it's cool. Definitely comment down below. Let me know how it resonates, because I feel like this was so like straightforward, and sometimes, and usually I'm like, I've got like different things, but this was not. This is pretty straightforward. But yeah, thank you guys so much for letting me read your cards. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye.